Hey guys, my name is Nikki and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about relocation. This is testimony number 6 of 7. Next week we'll be ending this wonderful series of, just how great God has been to me, some of the wonderful things that He has done in my life over the years. I hope this testimony series has been a blessing to you. If you have not checked out the previous videos, I encourage you to go ahead and check them out after this video. So moving right along into testimony number 6. So today we're going to be talking about relocating, moving. How do you know God is leading you to move? Now, for me, when I'm originally from New York City. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I decided to move from New York City to North Carolina back in 2018. Now, I talked about it in my last video on why I decided to move in 2018 because I wanted a change. There was so much going on in my life at the time. I was grieving the loss of my mother, and I really wanted to get away. I didn't want to remain in the same city that I grew up in. There were so many memories there, the same neighborhood. Like, I really wanted to get away. So I decided to move. I took a step of faith. I prayed about it. I sought counseling with my pastor at the time about it, and I prayed about it, and God gave me a peace about it, and that's how I ended up moving. Now, fast forward to 2 years of living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was on a fast one day, and the Lord said to me that this is not your final destination, meaning that Charlotte, North Carolina was not going to be the place that I got to settle in. Now, ever since the Lord told me that, that was in like 20, I think it was 21, it might have been in 21, around that time, the Holy Spirit said that to me. And, I knew then, like even before that, I had got confirmation that I was going to move back up east, even though I had moved down south, well, North Carolina. At the time, like, I didn't want to hear it because I had just moved from New York City to North Carolina, and I'm already being told that, you're not going to stay down there. You're not going to you're going to come back home. You're going to come back to New York. And at the time, like, I was very angry because I knew what I was running from. I knew that I did not want to come back to New York. I didn't want to have anything to do with New York City. Like, I would go visit my family and go right back to North Carolina. So at the time when I'm hearing that, I'm like, whatever, like, I didn't want to hear anything like that. So then in 2021, when I was on that fast, and the Lord said, like, this is not your final destination. I'm like, what? Like, I know, I heard it before, but this was a confirmation within the confirmation in itself to me, even though I didn't want to hear it when somebody else said it to me. But now is the Holy Spirit like speaking and saying, like, this is not your final destination. This is not where you're going to be. Even though, like, I loved living in North Carolina, I loved living in Charlotte, North Carolina, you guys. I really did. And if it was up to me, I would still be in Charlotte, North Carolina. But earlier this year, well, I won't say earlier this year, I would say in September of last year, of 2023, the Lord began to deal with me. My lease for the house that I was renting in North Carolina was ending. And I remember, like, I was like, you know what, Lord? Like, I'm tired of running. Pretty much, what are we doing? Am I staying here in North Carolina? And if I'm not, like, where am I going? Where do you want me to move? I prayed about it. I did bring it before the Lord. And when I tell you, after when I prayed about it and I said to the Lord, what are we doing? Like, are we staying or are we going? Where do you want me to go? I remember one day I went outside and I was driving. I was driving in a very familiar area, and it just felt so foreign to me at the time. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I just knew that my time in Charlotte, North Carolina was coming to an end. It was just a very strange feeling that I got when I was driving. Like, okay, your time is up here. Your time is up. It's time. It's time. And, I remember going to the Lord when I said, okay, well, if I'm moving, where am I going? And I was talking to my aunt one day, and my aunt was like, well, Didn't you want to move to Jersey at one point? Like maybe you should look at places in Jersey, in New Jersey. So, and I was already leaning towards New Jersey because one, like New York City is very expensive, you guys. New York City is so expensive. I had gotten accustomed to a certain lifestyle in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I said to the Lord, like, Lord, if I'm moving back up east, I'm moving closer back home, I want to still be able to maintain the same lifestyle that I have. And as far as, I want to be able to enjoy the amenities, having a pool, having a gym in my building. Like I wanted a luxury apartment coming back to New York, coming back to be close to home, to New York City. So I said, well, okay, I'm going to start looking at Jersey. I started looking at places. I didn't want to move, even though I know I felt it very deep in my spirit that it was time to move. And I didn't want to move. I said, Lord, I'm going to give you a list of things that I want. And if I don't get those things that's on the list, I'm not moving. And when I say this, I meant it in the most humbling way. And I gave the Lord the most impossible list. And when I say impossible, like I made it very hard just so I can have an excuse to stay in North Carolina another year. Like even though my lease was ending for my house, maybe I'll renew it for another year and move in 2025 or 2026. Um, so the list that I gave the Lord, and I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. The date, I'm gonna screenshot my notes because I wrote it in my notes on my iPhone. The date, the timestamp is there. And on that list, I believe I asked the Lord for a luxury. One, it had to be a luxury apartment. I wanted I wanted at least a two-bedroom. I wanted a pool in my building. I wanted stainless steel appliances. I wanted a gym in my building because I said I wanted to start my fitness journey. I also wanted a balcony, and then I also wanted a view of New York City. I think that's it. So that was the list. I'll put it on the screen so you guys can see what I put on the list. And when I started looking at and I wanted it to be a brand new building. That was and when I asked for the brand new building, I just knew that I wasn't going to get a new building. And when I say I just knew, like of all the things that I could have asked for, I asked the Lord for the building to be a new build. I wanted to be the first person to live in my apartment, y'all. And I was like, there's no way the Lord is going to do this. And because he's not going to do this, I can stay here in North Carolina, y'all. And when I tell you, when I went up on Zillow and I started searching for apartments, I came across a few buildings. They were not new buildings. And then one day, I went back again on Zillow, and lo and behold, there was a new building. There was a new building, like literally just being built, and this is around October-ish, October, November. The building was so new, like they were just starting to like have like showings, and people had not even moved into the building yet. They literally just finished building that building. So I reached out to the realtor. Like I inquired about the apartments. I was still in North Carolina. I said at one point I wanted to come up to New Jersey to look at the area and check it out and look for and actually come and see the apartment itself. But I ended up not doing that. And I ended up doing everything via phone with my realtor. And my realtor, when I tell you God sent me the most patient, like she was truly God sent. Like this woman was truly God sent, my realtor. She showed me all the different layouts in the apartment. She recorded videos. She toured the whole apartment, the building, everything, and she sent me via video. I was able to select my very own apartment. I got I did not get the two-bedroom. I will tell you what I didn't get. And when I made the list, I said there are certain things that I'm willing to compromise on and certain things that I'm not willing to compromise on. And the thing that I was not willing to compromise on was not being a new building. I was not willing to compromise on. And that was the hardest part of all what I was asking the Lord for. And he did it. Like it was a new building, the apartment that I live in right now, like I'm the only person that ever lived in this apartment. I got one bedroom with a den. I didn't get my two bedroom, but the only reason why I wanted the extra room or the extra space is because I work from home and I wanted my office to be separate, from my living area. So I did get that. Um, I got a one bedroom, 1.5 bath with a den. I got the pool in the building. I got the gym in the building. I had the option. I could have gotten an apartment with a balcony, but the balcony would be way more expensive. And I was willing to compromise on the balcony because, I mean, New Jersey is like, I guess the way I had to look at it, I had to use wisdom and say that I'm only going to be able to use the balcony for maybe what, 3, 4 months out of the year because this is a cold area. The state, winter is, you know. So I decided like I will compromise on the I compromised on the balcony and the view. I didn't get my view of New York City, which was okay. I was willing to compromise. Those are the two things that I ended up compromising on. Everything else, I got my stainless steel appliances. I got my luxury apartment. And another thing, I said that I wanted an apartment that would be less than $2,000. And I ended up getting my apartment, a luxury apartment in this area, in this state. Like, when I tell you the cost of living in New York and New Jersey is so much more higher than North Carolina. Like, I was paying 16.95 for a 3 bedroom house, 2 bath in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. And I moved to New Jersey, 1 bedroom, a den for a little less than 2 grand. So the cost of living is a lot higher here. But this apartment that I'm living in is way more than the market value for the apartment that I'm living in is way higher than what I got it for, because at the time they were advertising for the apartment, someone in the leasing office made a mistake with the prices. They had to give me my apartment for the price that it was, even though they made a mistake. I challenged them to honor it because they made the mistake, and this is what the realtor quoted me price for the apartment at. And the Lord gave me favor, and I was able to get it for less than 2 grand. So when I tell you, God was so involved in this move because he wanted me to come back. He wanted me to move back close to home, stop running and I'm dealing with, a lot of the things that I ran from 5 years ago. It's easier for me to, go visit my family now. I'm only like 45 minutes to an hour from New York City. And yeah, I am loving my new apartment. I love where I live. And God has just truly made a way for me for this apartment. So I want to encourage you, like, if you are thinking about moving, bring it before the Lord. Each time that I moved from New York City to North Carolina, I did bring it before the Lord. I didn't hear from the Lord physically, audibly, to move to North Carolina, but in my heart, I knew I needed to take a step of faith at that time because I needed to get away, and the Lord allowed me to get away from what was going on in my environment at the time, because I believe that it was his will. Because when I moved from New York City to North Carolina, even though I was running, when I moved to North Carolina, life got better for me. Like, in my career, God opened ways for me. He opened doors for me. I started a business while I was down there. Like, so much growth happened for me in North Carolina that I have no regret about the move. Like, everything that I went through down there, I believe it was part of God's will for my life. I believe that I was in the will of God when I moved from New York City to North Carolina. And you just have to know. You have to know, examine where you are in life. And then another thing, like moving from New York City to North Carolina, I already had a job. So I moved with my job from New York City to North Carolina. My company was opening an office down there, and they allowed me to move with my New York City salary. So it worked out for me. Now, would I have moved or stepped out of faith the way that I did 5 years ago, had I not have a job, I'm not too sure about that. I don't know if I would have left my job, a good job in New York City at the time, and moved to a new state. I don't know. And again, moving back from North Carolina to New Jersey, I have my job. The company that I work for, they allowed me to move from Charlotte, North Carolina to New Jersey with my job because I work from home. So God just, He has been involved every step of the way. And so I think, if you're thinking about moving, definitely bring it before the Lord and just leave it in the hands of the Lord. If you don't have peace about it, don't do it. And when I say if you don't have peace about it, don't do it, because God is not the author of confusion. God is not a God that He will tell you to do something and you be indecisive and doubting and not be sure about it. Like, for me, especially, for me, when I'm making decisions, I always try to make decisions when I'm level headed. I don't make decisions when I'm emotional, especially life changing decisions, life altering decisions. I do not make decisions like this when I'm emotional, when I'm angry, when I'm hurting. I try to calm down, and then I try to get myself in a space where, okay, I'm able to surrender it to the Lord, like going to the Lord in prayer and surrendering it and leaving it at His feet, leaving it on the altar of God, and allowing God to give me that peace. If there is no peace in it, I'm not going to do it. And that has always been my motto in life as a believer, that if and that's something that I've learned with the help of the Holy Spirit. I don't make decisions when I am not in a good emotional headspace. So if you're angry right now, or you're upset, or you're frustrated, calm down. Take a step back, write down the pros and cons, um, how this move is going to be beneficial to you. What is God saying to you right now? Are you in a space where you can hear the Lord? Because that's important. And also seek counseling, talk to someone, a pastor, someone that can give you godly advice concerning this move. Ask yourself, why do you want to move? Are you moving because you're running like I did? Are you moving for a better opportunity? The state that you're wanting to move, or the city that you're wanting to move, are there more jobs there? Or whatever it is that you're trying to do in your career, are you just looking for a new start? Whatever the case is, like, sit down, you know and ask yourself, talk to yourself. Like, I do this to myself all the time. Like, I talk, like, right now I'm going through like a career crisis. Like, even though I've talked about this in my previous video about how God has blessed me in my career, but I'm also right now in a season of what's next for me. And I'm literally like sitting down with myself, and I, what do you want, Nikki? Like, what is your next move? But then I'm also bringing this before the Lord daily, bringing it before the Lord, asking Him to show me His vision for my life, show me His plan and purpose for my life, so that I can walk in the will that He has for my life. And it's the same as praying and asking God for guidance. Like, Lord, where do you want me? Do I need to remain? Do you want me to stay here? If you want me to stay here, like, guide me and lead me. Like, what do I do while I'm choosing to remain here, even though I don't want to be here? So I hope that this video helps. And I hope that, whatever it is that the Lord is leading you to do, that He will go before you and He will make the crooked places straight, that God will lead you and direct you. And I hope that the Lord will make everything plain and clear for you, so that you're able to move with peace, because you don't want to move frustrated. Because moving to a new state and you don't have peace, you're bringing that frustration to that new state, that new quote unquote start that you want. You're bringing all that frustration and all that anger and all that resentment and all that whatever it is that you're feeling, emotions that you're going through. I would say to try to take control of your emotions first before you make any important decisions. So I hope this was helpful. We have one more testimony left, And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give this video a thumbs up, like and comment. If you have any questions, definitely drop a comment and I will respond as soon as I can. And I'll see you guys in the next video.